Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for being here today. My name is Nathaya Meccaridha. My student ID number is D500214055, and I am from Group 51, and my supervisor is Mrs. Alimato Nashira. I am here to present my research proposal titled Consequence Modeling and Analysis of Accidental Chlorine Release at Karawang, West Java. To begin, let me give you an overview of my research. Paper is a multi-purpose material composed of cellulose fibers in the form of thin sheets, mainly from wood pulp or other plant sources. In the pulp and paper industry, chlorine is used as a bleach and refiner. Chlorine is a typical toxic heavy gas and a reactive substance that can harm the environment. Exposure to chlorine can pose several risks to human health. Chlorine's toxicology is primarily concerned with its effects on the respiratory system, especially when inhaled in high concentration. Chlorine gas leakage often occur near paper factory. So in this research, in order to analyze the effects of these accidents, I will be using a licensed consequence modeling software named FX, developed by Global Explosion Consultant or GIGSCON. Previously, several research regarding chlorine release or leakage were conducted. In 2009, Hanna et al. Simulated a chlorine tank release leakage. They modeled a 2.5 centimeter diameter hose ruptured at a height of 3.5 meters near a rail car. The chlorine leak began from a 3-meter high pipe next to a tank and spread to the rail car. Later on, Chapman in 2012 simulated another case of chlorine release in a ballistic attack on a railway tanker carrying chlorine with a total capacity of 70 tons. They observed the change in mass flow rate by varying the weather condition, size of the puncture, and its penetration location. Problem statement in this research is number one, how does the leak condition of chlorine release affect the accident consequence? Number two, how do the weather condition affect the consequence of accidental chlorine release? And then number three, how can we prevent and minimize the impact of exposed gas? The strategy to solve these problems is by conducting simulation by the consequence modeling software. The objectives of my research are first to determine the influence of the leak condition of chlorine release on the accident consequence, second, to determine the influence of the weather conditions on the consequence of accidental chlorine release, then lastly, to determine the efforts to prevent and minimize the impact of exposed gas. Next is the research design. This research is a descriptive study with quantitative analysis. This simulation will use a chlorine release from a pressurized torpedo storage tank with capacity of 40 meter cubes and diameter of 2.2 meters. The research location is at a paper manufacturer PT Pindo Daily 2 located in Karawang, West Java, Indonesia. I will conduct the simulation using a hypothetical incident based on real meteorological data obtained from WeatherSpark website, weatherspark.com. The independent variables that will be varied in this research is the weather condition using Pascal stability class consists of weather, wind speed, and temperature. And the scenario of the leakage will also be varied, specifically the tank pressure and the hole size. The dependent variables in this research will be chlorine concentration and its dispersion distance. In this research, there are 4 method stages. The first one is scenario formulation. I will collect data from online data available from industrial sites and the weather data from weather sparks, as I mentioned before. And then the second method is studying effects software, and I have to understand how effects software works. And then after that is simulation using effects software by conducting the simulation. And then finally, data analysis, which is to conclude the impacts of chlorine release in the local area. Here is the proposed timeline for my research. The first activity phase is the planning, which consists of problem formulation, variable formulation, scenario formulation, and schedule determination. These activities will conducted in September. And then the second activity phase is comprehension, which consists of understanding software features and case practices, will be conducted in October. Next, the simulation activity phase, which include data input, data process, and scenario simulation, will be conducted in November. And lastly, the analysis activity phase, which consists of simulation data analysis and scenario conclusion, will be conducted in December. These are the references used in this presentation. That's it from me. Thank you for your attention. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.